Aloha, and welcome to the Spring 2022 edition of UHMTV, a TV magazine show written, hosted, and produced by journalism students at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. I'm Erin Fujitani.
And I'm Ethan Young. Mahalo for joining us from our College of Social Sciences Digital Studios. Coming up in this episode, we'll take you to the top of Mauna Kea for a closer look at how UH is managing the Sacred Summit.
Find out why a new law to save sharks is causing problems for UH researchers.
And learn how to reduce your carbon footprint by simply planting a tree.
Plus, a talk story session with a proud UH alum and State Representative Greg Takayama. Stay with us for UHMTV.
While construction of the controversial 30-meter telescope is currently on hold, lawmakers are still debating another heated issue surrounding the management of Mauna Kea.
Hawaiian activists say UH should step down from its leadership role because of past negligence. But those who work atop the Sacred Summit have a different story to tell. Jordan Pollo explains.
Mauna Kea is the tallest mountain in the world, standing more than 33,000 feet tall from the base of the ocean. Because of its height and location, it is also one of the premier spots for scientists to study the stars and for Native Hawaiians to connect with cultural deities.
I realize and understand that the summit of Mauna Kea presents itself for observatories and for astronomers as an ideal, if not the ideal location. It is also our ideal location.
I like everybody come to this mountain freely. This mountain is for everybody.
Before heading to the Sacred Summit, these Mauna Kea Rangers are the first faces you'll see. They'll make sure visitors are properly acclimated to the extreme elevation and equipped before going higher.
So we play a great role up here, trying to save everybody to and from the summit.
We're only here to educate everybody and make sure everybody's being safe. They don't get to go inside the observatories or telescopes and go in there and see anything or be educated about anything in there.
Here at the Visitor Center, this small-scale model shows all 13 telescopes on the Mauna. While the general public is not allowed inside the observatories, staff here help others understand what goes on inside. For example, these telescopes provide imagery used every day for weather and traffic reports. From the halfway point, the journey to the top may only be 8 miles, but the drive time is at least an hour. Mauna Kea, which means White Mountain, lives up to its name as it's usually covered in snow. During the winter months, it can be extremely dangerous for drivers to make the uphill journey. That's why crews work 365 days a year to keep the road safe.
Without that grading, the road would deteriorate very quickly, and the first heavy rain would cut the access to the summit.
But most of the rangers here are first responders. So anything that happens up here for medical, we are the first people that goes to the scene and treat the victim before fire department comes up or fire personnel comes up. It's kind of like we got to take everything into our hands and try do the best we can.
Staff members also protect and grow multiple native species such as the vacu bug, which can only be found on Mauna Kea, and the rare silver sword plant, which is on the endangered list. Staff also maintain and manage more than 250 cultural sites.
And sometimes it takes 3 hours to hike there one way. So it's very intense on the body. And I don't think people realize that we put our life on the line to do the work that we do.
It costs roughly $12 million a year to steward UH's portion of the Mauna. With more than 3 dozen staff members, all are local residents, and 75% grew up here on the islands. A 1998 audit reported that UH was negligent in its stewardship duties. Over the years, many activists felt that their Sacred Summit was being desecrated and called for a halt on the construction of any new telescopes.
We need to learn how to live within nature and within our environment instead of trying to conquer it. Same for the Mauna. As far as TMT is concerned, it remains too big for this mountain, and we will do whatever we can to keep it from being built and cause permanent damage.
There's a lot of people that are not supportive of the current infrastructure, and either you change it or you have to win all of those people over.
While UH acknowledges its past mistakes, a 2020 independent evaluation states that Mauna Kea is now one of the best managed lands in Hawaii. In recent years, the university has hosted numerous community forums, town hall meetings, and other forms of outreach in hopes of giving more voice to the Native Hawaiian community.
If we, the collective we, can focus on what's good for the broadest range of people, we will create the opportunities and the resources for government and private enterprise to be able to address some of these long-standing issues.
The debate of Mauna Kea is typically culture versus science, but the people that we've talked to say that this is just a stereotype.
Culture and science are fundamentally linked together. Science emerged from culture interests. The asteroid Oumuamua, which I think proved to everybody, given the spectacular number of internet hits and media coverage worldwide, demonstrated that the idea of astronomy being kind of the amplifier for Olelo Hawaii across the entire planet is very doable with these big discoveries.
I would hope that the existing telescopes can do the best work that they can do for the period of time that they remain on the Mauna, and it's not forever.
It's not only for the culture of Hawaiian people, for every culture in life. Come with your aloha, come with your mana'o, share everything up here. And as you hit the peak of this mountain, you're in heaven. So tell me who don't want to be in heaven. This is heaven right here.
State officials are considering a joint authority that would include both UH and Native Hawaiians for a mutual stewardship. As talks continue, construction of TMT still remains on hold. For UHMTV, I'm Jordan Poyo.
Still to come, why a new law to protect sharks is swimming through murky waters.
And how this UH professor is fighting climate change by planting one tree at a time. Welcome back to UHMTV. A new act that bans shark hunting in Hawaiian waters is raising concern among scientists. UH researchers agree it's important to protect marine life, but believe the law is essentially flawed.
Sharks are vital to the Hawaiian culture and ecosystem. In some customs, they're also considered a delicacy. In 2010, Hawaii was the first state to ban shark finning in Hawaiian waters. Now, a new law beginning January 1st goes even farther, restricting all types of shark hunting. Supporters say it's just another layer of protection for these underwater creatures.
We have to protect and love sharks. They're part of our culture. They're part of our mythology here in Hawaii. Yes, they are dangerous. You should not be going out and actively trying to pet sharks or whatnot. But like any animal, if you treat them with respect, they'll treat you with respect.
I've always had kind of a fond place in my heart for sharks. But they're just beautiful.
Hawaii legislature passed a shark protection law with good intentions, but the bill has created major setbacks for UH researchers.
Marine biologists support shark conservation, but say the new law is just overkill.
I feel disappointed. I feel like the science was ignored. It was a bill that was easily adopted by people that don't think things through too far. Realistically, it didn't have any substance to it. It's addressing a problem which doesn't exist. But at first glance, who would want to object to not killing sharks? Well, the answer is they're not being killed very much anyway. And so this is a bill with no real consequences.
UH researchers say their studies are actually helping prevent shark attacks through mindful catch-and-release practices. Typically, they detain and capture sharks only to safely implant tracking devices to their fins, which is a harmless procedure. Once the tracker is installed, they release the sharks back into their natural habitat.
It was because of the lack of understanding about sharks that we got into the game. And up until then, the standard response to a shark attack was to maybe go out to the beach where the attack had occurred and kill sharks. But what my students and I realized is that we had no clue scientifically about what was really going on.
Scientists say the new law will hinder their research efforts, but lawmakers believe it is a fair compromise.
I worked with fishermen and fisherwomen to figure out what was the best path forward, and this was, I felt, fair and reasonable, and it ended up passing. I also wanted to make sure that researchers, like at the University of Hawaii, that do work on shark also would be able to continue to do that with proper permits.
There's a lot of bills that we always make exemptions for education, for science, for research, and so it's very easy for us to have those regulations. So it may be a little bit more difficult, they may have to go through a permitting process, but it's not impossible.
Researchers feel it's just unnecessary paperwork. They're also concerned about local fishermen catching sharks by accident and how those situations will be handled.
There's no way for the state to enforce this bill. They can't even enforce shoreline fishing because they don't have the resources. So how are they going to enforce going 2.5 miles offshore on a windy day to find somebody that's fishing for sharks, if there was such a person? And there aren't, except for us scientists.
Violators would be subject to a $500 fine for the first offense, and up to a $10,000 maximum fine for multiple offenses. For UHM-TV, I'm Erin Fujitani.
Thanks, Erin. Meanwhile, researchers from the UH College of Social Sciences are also committed to conserving Hawaii's natural resources.
A UH geography professor is leading an effort to plant 1 million trees. Georgia Claire Johnson King has more on this ambitious and super green goal.
UH scientists say climate change is causing disastrous events in Hawaii. Residents and visitors are already experiencing hotter temperatures and coastal erosion. Other natural disasters such as landslides and flooding are also on the rise.
The Office of Climate Change and Resilience has responded to this with plans to plant over 100,000 trees by 2025 and to go completely carbon neutral by 2045.
UH geography professor Camilla Mora says it's an ambitious goal, but it can be done.
For the longest of times, I just realized that we just keep talking about how bad this is, but you rarely see anyone getting down to business and doing something. And what we decided to do was, okay, we're gonna start walking the talk, enough of talking, let's start doing. And we decided to put this goal of planting 1 million trees. That's my dream, and I don't wanna take 50 years to do it.
One of the ways to get there is to plant as many trees in one place at one time. This nearly 40,000-acre land in Wahiawa is just one of the many chosen sites. Kukani Loko in Ololo means to anchor the cry from within, and Mora believes the name says it all.
That land is crying. If the land could talk, it will be crying, screaming at us, come and help us.
Mora calculates that if everyone could plant just 10 trees a year, Hawaii would reduce its dependence on imported oil and reach its carbon neutrality goal much faster. Tree planting also helps restore the ecosystem while preserving the cultural heritage.
36,000 acres, the Puhonua is a place of refuge. It's all about the aina, our natural resources, the land, and our beloved people.
By getting involved in local events such as tree planting and tree clearing days, you too can help support your local aina. For UHM-TV, I'm Georgia Claire Johnson King.
When we return,
an exclusive Talk Story session with a proud UH alum, Greg Takayama, on set right after this.
Welcome back to UHM-TV. Every semester, we like to honor our distinguished UH alumni.
Representative Greg Takayama has been a lawmaker for almost a decade. Lydia Tristan has more on this proud UH journalism grad.
State Representative Greg Takayama's colorful shirts are seen as a symbol of his colorful career. During his time at UH, he worked as a journalist for both the student newspaper and the Star Bulletin. Later, he got into TV news and public relations, and now serves as a lawmaker representing Pearl City. Recently, our class got a chance to sit down with him in studio.
How has your experience in journalism helped prepare you to be a politician?
I think being a journalist teaches you to listen. They often say you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a good reason. You ought to be used in that proportion. And so I've always taught myself to listen to other people, and that really is the hallmark of a journalist. A good journalist listens to other people, listens to their stories, and lets them tell it. And that, to me, is what I practice still as a government official.
Takayama is used to being seen across all forms of media, but he says he wasn't always so comfortable being in the public eye.
You know, I've always been personally kind of a shy person. And one of the things about journalism is it forces you out of your shyness. It requires you to meet people, to talk to people who you had no idea of meeting in the first place. But that becomes your job, your profession, and it forces you out of your shell.
Takayama grew up in Kalihi Valley and graduated from Farrington High School.
One of the things about growing up in Kalihi Valley was, running around outside in the neighborhood, we yelled and screamed in Pidgin all the time, as was natural as all the kids did. But the minute my brothers and I stepped back into the house, my mom insisted that we speak proper English. And so I never regretted it, because as it turned out, every job I've ever had required me to speak proper English. And so that was one of my childhood memories.
Takayama was one of the first in his family to go to college, spending his first 2 years in Oregon before transferring to UH Manoa.
And so I transferred back to UH because the UH then had a much better journalism program than they had in Oregon. So I ended up finishing out my last 2 years here at the UH Manoa, working on the student newspaper, where, as it turned out, I met my wife and many other friends for life.
His opportunities at UH led him to Washington, D.C., where he served as a press secretary for the late Senator Dan Inouye.
I've covered the shortcomings of government, the inefficiencies, the corruption at times of politicians. But working for Senator Inouye showed me the good side. And so I decided that if I had the opportunity to work in government, I would concentrate on doing good for the community as much as I could. And so that led to my decision to run for the State House 10 years ago, and I've never regretted it. I've done my best to serve our community and the state, and in a small way, I think I have.
One of his highlights as a lawmaker was introducing a bill that became known as Anya's Law. It's named after a little girl who was suffering from a cleft palate condition.
I've always prided myself on that being one of my proudest accomplishments as a lawmaker, because it only affects like maybe a dozen or so children who are born every year here in Hawaii with a cleft palate, but it affects their lives immeasurably.
Distinguished alum Takayama has this advice for the class of 2022.
My advice is always keep your eyes open for opportunities. I've counted them, maybe 7 jobs in my lifetime career, and each job has led to another. Even if you're working at a job that you're not 100% happy at, do the best you can, keep your eyes open, never burn bridges. There are opportunities before you all the time. Just do the best job you can.
As head of the Higher Education Committee, Takayama hopes to continue making a difference in his community. For UHMTV, I'm Lydia Tristan.
Some new UH graduates are struggling to make ends meet during the pandemic.
Many were hoping to see a bump in Hawaii's minimum wage this legislative session.
Justin Aviao is a Walmart employee who graduated from UH during the pandemic. 2 years later, he is still struggling to make ends meet.
It's okay, but a little bit more money, life would be a lot better.
Currently, Hawaii's minimum wage is $10.10, but state economists estimate that Hawaii workers need to make about $20 an hour just to pay for basic food, housing, and transportation. That's equivalent to working 140 hours a week. During this year's legislative session, lawmakers approved a progressive increase that would hit $18 by 2028. Although Aviao makes a little more than the minimum wage, he says the bump in pay would really help.
It would help a lot, actually. It would make it easier to focus on what I want to do in my career and whatnot. It would help fund that, but it would also make sure I have a good living situation.
Compared to other cities across the nation, California has the highest minimum wage at $15, with Hawaii falling in the middle. States such as Georgia have a lower cost of living and round out the bottom with only $5.15. As you can see, Hawaii's cost of living is almost double the minimum wage. Workers would surely benefit from the wage increase, but many small businesses and restaurants fear that the hike will hurt their revenue streams to the point of no return.
Already my employees aren't paid minimum wage. I pay them a higher wage already. That's $16,800 a month more in wages I would have to pay. We don't even make that in profit a month. So that alone would kill me.
But one key advocate says higher pay could actually help businesses prosper.
There's an argument that, well, if you raise the minimum wage too high, we're going to go out of business. But if you look at the past history, even on the mainland and in Hawaii, even when the minimum wage was raised, the number of businesses increased. Because we know that we have to keep businesses in business, otherwise they're not going to hire employees, right? They're not going to hire workers.
Minimum wage should hit $12 an hour beginning in October. Although some lawmakers were hoping to get to $18 by 2026, workers like Avial will have to wait until 2028. For UHMTV, I'm Charleston Casimiro.
Still to come on UHMTV, we'll get a close-up look at tribal tattoos with a modern twist.
Traditional Hawaiian tattoos carry a strong cultural and historical significance, but what used to be considered taboo is now becoming an artistic style that is moving with the modern times. Polynesian tattoos have been around for more than 2,000 years. Famous celebrities like The Rock and Jason Momoa share their cultural connections through their ink, which extends deeper than their skin. These symbolic meanings can differ from person to person depending on one's heritage. And recently, I went to visit a special exhibit at the Bishop Museum to learn more about traditional tribal tattoos.
It's all based on traditional Samoan tattooing, and it's called Tatau. It's a wonderful exhibit, and it's basically about a family by the last name of Suluapes that traveled around the world and single-handedly saved tapping from going extinct. And they're the same family that actually taught Keone Nunez, who was the traditional tapper here.
It has changed and it has morphed with time. It has definitely grown. It's definitely a different process.
In ancient times, practitioners used a tapping method with simple tools made of bone marrow and wood. Only a handful of traditional artists continue that practice today. Tribal tattoos have withstood the test of time, even through the period of Western missionary suppression. Today, this art is still alive and evolving with modern tools and modern designs. With more than 100 tattoo parlors on Oahu, it's easy to get just any tattoo. But certain places like 808 Tattoo in Kaneohe offer tribal tattoos with a modern twist. Megan Jones has been doing this for nearly a quarter of a century.
It is our due diligence as artists to study the patterns that we are putting on people and taking the time to live it as a lifestyle. Yeah, like to not just, I don't just do this and then make money off of a culture. It's like I'm in the lo'i with my keiki dance hula, my pane speaks Olelo Hawaii. I'm in Olelo Hawaii classes, like perpetuating in a daily lifestyle.
Although she does not use the traditional tools of kakao, she still incorporates tribal symbols and patterns which everybody can wear.
Contemporary Polynesian is like, you gotta borrow from the past to create new in the future. It's really important to respect everything that was done in the past, but if you want to create your own style, you have to be very respectful of those patterns, and you have to know the history and the origin of those patterns and apply them correctly.
Traditionally, tribal tattoos were reserved only for certain chosen ones, but that's not the case today.
So I think now we're just kind of in this cross-cultural blending, which creates a really beautiful and unique tattoo. But of course, respecting the past and just trying to work with our clientele to create something that looks different and flows well with the body.
After sharing my story about where I was born and raised, we decided on several tribal marks that represented my life's journey. These wavy lines signify Kai, or the ocean. This row of triangles represents my family's Aumakua, the Mano, or the guardian shark. And this checkerboard pattern is a universal symbol for Mana, or power and strength.
I think it's totally fine as long as they're, perpetuating a culture and art and they're being educated on what they're wearing. I think it's a small-minded way of thinking that other people can't wear other cultural tattoos, whether you be Caucasian, Japanese, Chinese, we're all mixed now.
So, it's not about how powerful or attractive tribal tattoos appear to be. They're a body signature, and for me, I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve. For UHM TV, I'm Ethan Young.
Well, thanks, Ethan.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for the 27th edition of UHM TV. And mahalo for watching. I'm Erin Fujitani.
And I'm Ethan Young. Until next time,
Aloha.